The Joint Cultural Exchange Facility's East Wing had the specific, functional quality of a space built for the archival work rather than the institutional presentation. The shelving systems, and the documentation terminals, and the ambient quiet of somewhere that understood its purpose, was the preservation and the access of the record rather than the communication of the record's significance. Cale Voss had been working in the East Wing at the 14th hour for approximately 40 minutes when the wing's entrance moved, and Commander Vale Saln entered with the quality of someone who had come for a specific operational purpose, and who was, in the entering, already in the purpose's execution. He was 31 years old, an Accord Cultural Liaison Officer, and he had the specific quality that 6 years of the Cultural Gap's honest work had built in him, not the diplomatic quality of the institutional engagement, not the ceremonial quality of the formal cultural exchange, but the specific, particular quality of someone who understood that the cultural translation was the foundation of everything else, and that the cultural translation required the genuine presence in the gap rather than the institutional positioning above it. 6 years across 3 postings had built in him the thorough, honest attention of someone who had learned, through the specific, accumulated experience of being present in the cultural gap, that the accurate observation was the function's foundation, and that the accurate observation required giving the thing in front of you the full quality of the attention it deserved rather than the managed quality of the attention the institutional context preferred. He also had a quality that 6 years had not entirely resolved. He thought out loud, not in the formal sessions, not in the coordination mechanisms or the institutional interactions or the spaces where the professional quality was actively required. In the margins, in the between spaces of the working day where the formal quality was not the active requirement, and where the internal observation's transition to the external one occasionally occurred before the transition's appropriateness had been assessed. He had been working to resolve this for 6 years. 6 years had produced the awareness of the quality without the elimination of it, which was the specific, honest outcome of 6 years of working to resolve something that was also, in the function's honest terms, the quality that made the function work. He did not notice Commander Vale Saln's entrance immediately. He was at the archival terminal in the East Wing's northern section, reviewing the documentation that the Cultural Exchange Program's second phase required, with the specific, concentrated quality of someone doing the actual work rather than the performance of the actual work. The second phase's archival documentation had the particular character of genuinely interesting material. The joint program's first phase had produced the institutional record of the exchange, and the second phase's preparation required the first phase's honest assessment, and the honest assessment required reading the complete record rather than the institutional summary. He was reading the complete record. She entered. He became aware of her presence with the peripheral quality of the cultural liaison's trained attention, the specific, ambient awareness of the space's character that 6 years of reading environments had built in him, the quality of someone who was present in the space, with the full attention that the space deserved, and who was, in the full attention, aware of the space's changes with the honest quality of the awareness. He looked up. She had not seen him. She was in the East Wing's southern section, the section with the pre-contact archival documentation, the specific, older records that the second phase's preparation had flagged as relevant background material. She was moving through the section with the quality that he read immediately with the cultural liaison's full attention, the working arrangement rather than the formal one, her dark hair and the practical quality of someone who had come to do the actual work, the Varath characteristic ears visible with the unself-conscious quality of someone who was not in the institutional presentation's register. She moved through the archival shelving with the specific, efficient quality of someone who was in the space for the space's purpose, not the observed quality of someone aware of the institutional hierarchy's presence, but the natural quality of someone simply present in the work. She found the documentation she was looking for. She handled it. He watched her handle it with the cultural liaison's full attention, and what he read in the handling was the specific, genuine quality of someone who was interested in the documentation's content, not the institutional significance interest, not the managed engagement of someone performing the appropriate response to the material, but the genuine, involuntary quality of someone whose attention was held by the content because the content was holding it. She turned a page. She turned it with the specific, slight quality of someone who has found something in the material that the finding required the physical response of the turning. The involuntary quality of the genuine reader rather than the performed quality of the institutional engagement. He read the complete picture of what he was observing. The natural quality, the unself-conscious quality, the genuine interest and the efficient movement and the practical arrangement and the specific, complete quality of someone who was, in the East Wing without the institutional context's active presence, entirely themselves. And he thought with the specific, involuntary quality of someone whose internal observations occasionally became external ones. You are completely different when you think no one is watching. He said it out loud. The East Wing's archival space became very quiet. She stilled. Not the startled quality of someone who had not known they were not alone. The specific, particular quality of someone who had heard something and who was, in the hearing, processing it with the full attention that the something deserved before the response. She turned. She looked at him across the East Wing's archival space with the full, direct quality of the assessment. The thorough, rapid reading of the person who had produced the observation. The specific, comprehensive quality of someone who was building the complete picture of the situation with the full attention the situation required. He stood at the archival terminal in the East Wing's northern section with the 6 years quality and the professional awareness of what the inadvertent externalization had produced, and the specific, honest quality of someone who was in the consequence, and who was in the being, present in it without the performed composure. He had expected the consequence to be significant. The Varath sovereignty's senior cultural affairs officer. The institutional hierarchy's weight. The specific, identifiable quality of the authority's response to the observation made without the calibration, without the adjustment for the position, without the management that the institutional context's presence should have produced. He waited for the consequence. She looked at him for a long moment. She said, "Say that again." The quality of the request was not what he had prepared for. Not the command quality, not the institutional authority's demand, not the register of someone who had been observed without permission, and who was, in the register, communicating the authority's response to the observation's impropriety. The specific, direct quality of someone who had heard something and who wanted to hear it again, not for the consequences preparation, but for the hearing itself. The quality of someone for whom the first hearing had been insufficient for the processing, and who needed the second hearing to build the complete picture of what had been said. He looked at her, he said, "I said you are completely different when you think no one is watching." She did not move. "Different how?" she said. He looked at the archival space and the documentation and the East Wing and the 6 years and the specific, committed quality of someone who had said the honest thing and who was, in the commitment, completing the honesty rather than retreating from it. "The working arrangement," he said. "Not the formal one, the practical quality of someone who has come to do the actual work rather than the performance of it. The way you moved through the archival section before you knew I was here. The efficient, unself-conscious quality of someone in the space for the space's purpose, not the observed quality of someone aware of the institutional hierarchy's presence." He paused. "The way you handled the documentation, the genuine interest in the content rather than the institutional significance. The specific, involuntary quality of someone whose attention was held by what they were reading because what they were reading was holding it." He looked at her steadily. The natural quality, the unmanaged quality, the quality of someone who is simply themselves in the space. She looked at him. "You observed me," she said. "Yes," he said, "before you knew I was here. The appropriate thing was to announce my presence. I did not announce it because the observation produced the observation, and the observation produced the saying, and the saying preceded the appropriate thing's execution." The silence. He had been in enough situations to understand that the silence's character was the significant information. Not the silence itself, but what the silence contained, the specific quality that communicated what the eventual speaking would say. He read the silence with the full quality of his attention, and what the silence contained was not the managed quality of someone preparing the authority's response. What the silence contained. Something unreadable in the specific way of something he had not encountered in 6 years of reading Varath individuals in the cultural gap's honest conditions. Not the managed response. Not the unmanaged response. The particular quality of someone who had received something unexpected, and who was, in the receiving, present in the unexpectedness with the full quality of someone for whom the unexpected thing was genuinely unexpected. She said, How long have you been doing this work? 6 years, he said. The cultural liaison function, 3 postings. 6 years of reading Vareth individuals in the cultural gap, she said. Yes, he said. And in 6 years, she said, how often does the observation become external? He looked at her. Less often than I think them, he said, more often than is professionally advisable. The second silence, different from the first. The first silence had been the unreadable quality, the something unexpected processing without the management. The second silence had the specific, particular quality of something moving in it, something that the first silence had contained, and that the question and the answer had brought closer to whatever the something was moving toward. She said, no one has said that to me before. He looked at her. The observation specifically, he said, or the honest thing, she said. The specific, direct, honest thing that was not calibrated for my institutional position or my rank, or the cultural exchange program's diplomatic requirements, or the sovereignty's hierarchy, or any of the other variables that the people in my professional environment calibrate their communications for. She looked at him with the quality that was not the institutional quality, the specific, underneath quality of someone who was in the genuine space of something they had not encountered before, and who was, in the being, present in it. The honest observation, said because it was true. It also produced the significant embarrassment, he said. The third silence. And in the third silence, the specific, involuntary quality of something reaching the surface before the management's reassertion. The almost smile. Not the performed smile of the institutional context, not the managed quality of the appropriate response, but the brief, genuine quality of something that was not entirely managed, and that was, in the not being entirely managed, present at the surface. Sit down, she said. I have a question. He sat. She sat across from him at the archival space's working table with the documentation around them, and the East Wing's functional quiet, and the quality of 2 people who were, in the sitting, in a different conversation than the cultural exchange program's second phase preparation required. She looked at him with the full quality of the assessment, the thorough, direct reading of the person across the table with the same comprehensive attention she had given the pre-contact documentation. The observation, she said, completely different when you think no one is watching. Is it the observation of this moment, or is it the observation of a pattern? He thought with the 6 years quality, the specific, honest assessment of what the 6 years contained and what the honest answer required. It is the observation of this moment, he said. That is consistent with a pattern I have been building for the 18 months of this posting. She was very still. 18 months, she said. Yes, he said. You have been building a pattern, she said. The cultural liaisons function requires the reading of the primary counterpart on the Vareth side of the program, he said. You are the primary counterpart. The reading is the function's foundation. The function's reading and the pattern you described are not the same thing, she said. No, he said. They are not the same thing. He looked at her with the 6 years quality and the 18 months quality and the honest commitment of someone who had said the honest thing and who was, in the commitment, giving the honesty the completeness it deserved. The function's reading is the institutional reading, he said. The program's coordination requirements, the cultural gap's specific frictions, the second phase's preparation needs. That reading is the function's reading. He paused. The pattern is what the honest attention gave to the primary counterpart across 18 months. The genuine quality of the reading, rather than the institutional quality. What is the pattern, she said. He looked at her steadily. The specific, consistent difference between 2 qualities, he said. The quality you have in the institutional spaces, the formal sessions, the coordination mechanisms, the spaces where the institutional hierarchy is the active context, and the institutional presentation is the appropriate register, and the quality you have in the spaces where the institutional hierarchy is not the active context. He paused. The East Wing today. The documentation review in the 3rd month where you spent 40 minutes with a secondary archival source that had no institutional significance because the source's content was genuinely interesting. The joint facilities courtyard in the 9th month. The specific quality of how you talked to the maintenance staff. Not the institutional quality, but the natural quality. The quality of someone simply in the interaction rather than managing it. She looked at him. You noted these moments, she said. The cultural liaison reads patterns, he said. The patterns require the specific observations. The specific observations are the function's content. And the pattern in my case, she said. Is that the natural quality and the institutional quality are significantly different, he said. More different than the standard variance that the institutional context produces in most people. He looked at her. The institutional quality in your case is very complete, the specific, thorough quality of someone who has built the institutional presentation with the full commitment the position requires. The management is thorough. The institutional quality is genuine in the sense of being genuinely built. He paused. And the natural quality is also very complete, but in a different direction. She was quiet. Different how, she said. The institutional quality is the quality of someone who is the position, he said. The authority and the rank and the cultural affairs function and the sovereignty's hierarchy. Complete, thorough, performed with the full quality the position requires. He paused. The natural quality is the quality of someone who is curious. Genuinely, specifically curious. Not the performed interest of the institutional engagement, but the specific, involuntary quality of someone who finds the thing in front of them interesting, and who responds to the interest with the honest attention the thing deserves. He looked at her. The secondary archival source in the 3rd month had nothing to do with the program's requirements. You read it for 40 minutes because it was interesting. The maintenance staff interaction in the 9th month had no institutional significance. You were simply in the interaction because the interaction was present. He paused. The genuine quality, the natural quality. Present in the spaces, the institutional context does not reach. She looked at him for a long time. And in the institutional spaces, she said. The natural quality is present in the institutional spaces, he said. It is managed in the institutional spaces. The management is very good. The natural quality does not become visible in the institutional spaces unless you are looking for it specifically and you know what to look for. He looked at her. 6 years of looking for it specifically, I know what to look for. She was quiet. No one, she said. In 18 months of the cultural exchange program, in the coordination mechanisms and the formal sessions and the joint facilities operational spaces, no one has given me the honest observation. The calibrated communication, he said. Yes, she said. The institutional engagement and the managed observations and the communications adjusted for the position and the rank and the diplomatic requirements and the sovereignty's hierarchy. She looked at the archival space, all of it calibrated for 18 months. Yes, he said, I understand that. You do not calibrate, she said. No, he said. In 6 years, she said, 3 postings. The calibration's product is insufficient for the function, he said. And he stopped. And, she said. He looked at her. The calibration requires the assumption that the position is the person, he said. The assumption that the institutional context's presentation is the complete picture and that the communication should be addressed to the complete picture. He paused. The assumption is incorrect. The position is not the person. The institutional quality is one quality of the person. The natural quality is another. The complete picture contains both. He looked at her steadily. The calibrated communication addressed to the incomplete picture is, the honest word is insufficient. The institutional quality acknowledged, and the natural quality treated as if it were not present. Insufficient for the function. Insufficient for the honest relationship. She looked at him. You find the calibrated communication insufficient, she said. Yes, he said. The distinction between insufficient and insulting matters. Insufficient is the accurate word. She looked at him for a long moment. The honest observation, she said. You are completely different when you think no one is watching. She paused. The natural quality named, the institutional quality distinguished from it. Yes, he said. Both acknowledged as real, she said. Yes, he said. The complete picture, she said. Yes, he said. That was the intention, the timing was the inadvertent quality's product. She looked at him. No one, she said. In this posting or in the postings before this posting or in the years before the postings, no one has given me the complete picture. He looked at her. The natural quality, he said, the curiosity. The 40 minutes with the secondary source in the 3rd month, the maintenance staff in the 9th month. He paused. It is the more interesting quality of the two. She looked at him. Of the institutional quality and the natural quality, he said. The natural quality is the more interesting one. The 4th silence, and in the 4th silence, the surface quality, the quality of something that had been moving toward the surface across the first 3 silences, and that was, in the 4th, fully present without the management. She said, how do you do this work? The cultural liaison function, he said. No, she said. This, the honest observation, the pattern built across 18 months, the natural quality distinguished from the institutional quality and named accurately. She looked at him. How do you maintain this without the calibration that everyone else applies? He thought with the 6 years quality. I tried the calibration, he said, the first posting. The managed observations, the communications adjusted for the rank and the position and the diplomatic requirements. He paused. The calibrated communication produces the calibrated relationship. The calibrated relationship produces the calibrated reading. The calibrated reading is insufficient for the function. He looked at her. And the calibration requires the ongoing effort of treating the person as the incomplete picture. The ongoing effort is, the honest word is exhausting, not in the practical sense. In the specific, honest sense of something that requires the continuous suppression of what the honest attention produces. The honest attention produces the natural quality, she said. Yes, he said. The natural quality is what the honest attention finds. The calibration suppresses the natural quality's acknowledgement because the natural quality is not the institutional context's appropriate subject. She was quiet for a moment. 33 years, she said. He looked at her. The institutional context has been the dominant context for 33 years, she said. Not entirely, the natural quality is present in the spaces the institutional context does not reach, as you have documented across 18 months. She paused. But the dominant context is the institutional one. The position and the rank and the cultural affairs function and the sovereignty's hierarchy. She looked at the documentation and the archival space, and the calibrated communications from everyone. Yes, he said. For 33 years, she said. Yes, he said. She looked at him. And the natural quality, she said. The curiosity, the secondary archival source in the 3rd month. Yes, he said. No one has noticed it, she said. In 33 years of the institutional context as the dominant context. He looked at her steadily. The calibrated communication does not look for it, he said. The calibrated communication is addressed to the institutional quality. The natural quality is present in the spaces the calibrated communication does not look at. You looked, she said. Yes, he said. For 18 months, she said. Yes, he said. She was quiet for a long moment. The specific, genuine quality of someone who is in the honest space and who is, in the being, present in the honest space with the full quality that the honest space deserved, without the management over it. The 3rd month's secondary archival source, she said. The 40 minutes. The pre-contact cultural exchange records, he said. The sovereignty's first documented interaction with the Accord's precursor civilization. She looked at him. You noted which documentation I was reading, she said. The cultural liaison reads patterns, he said. The patterns require the specific observations. The specific observations include the documentation. You know why it was interesting, she said. Not a question, the specific, direct quality of someone who was in the honest space and who was, in the being, speaking from it. The single-side record, he said. The sovereignty's documentation of the first encounter without the Accord's record for the comparison. The gap in the complete picture. She looked at him. Yes, she said, the gap in the complete picture. The thorough, genuine, accurate record of one perspective. Insufficient for the complete picture, because the complete picture requires both sides. He looked at her. That is an observation about the archival documentation, he said. Yes, she said, and also an observation about something else. He looked at her. Yes, he said, it is also an observation about something else. The archival space was quiet with the specific, genuine quality of 2 people who had arrived at the significant thing, and who were, in the arriving, present in it with the full quality of the honest space. Not the institutional space with the calibrated communications, and the position addressed to the position, but the honest space where the natural quality was at the surface, and the complete picture was the objective. The complete picture requires both sides, she said. Yes, he said. The single-side record is genuine and insufficient. The 2nd phase is documentation review, she said. The 3 weeks. Yes, he said. The 2nd phase is preparation window. She looked at the documentation and the archival space and the east wing's light. The complete picture, she said. He looked at her. The complete picture, he said. She looked at him with the full quality. Not the institutional quality's complete, thorough management, but the natural quality. Present at the surface with the specific, unhurried quality of something that had been at the surface since the 4th silence, And that was, in the 3 weeks, given the space to remain there. The documentation review will take the time it takes, she said. He looked at her. Yes, he said, it will. And the honest observations, she said, the inadvertent ones. He looked at her steadily. Will continue to be inadvertent, he said. 6 years have not resolved this. She looked at him. Good, she said. The natural quality's direct answer. The specific, unhurried quality of someone in the honest space responding from the honest space. The genuine quality at the surface without the management. He looked at her. The 3rd month's secondary source, he said. The pre-contact records, I read them also. Not in the 3rd month, in the 5th month, after I had noted that you had spent 40 minutes with them. She looked at him. You read them because I had read them, she said. I read them because the pattern indicated that the documentation the natural quality found interesting was documentation worth the honest attention, he said. The pattern has been reliable across 18 months. She looked at him for a long moment. The gap in the record, she said. The single-side documentation. Yes, he said. The complete picture requires what the record does not contain, she said. Yes, he said. The other side. She looked at the archival space and the documentation and the East Wing. The 2nd phase's documentation review, she said. 3 weeks. Yes, he said. The complete picture, she said. Yes, he said. Both sides. She looked at him. Vale, he said. Her name in the Accord's personal register, not the commander's designation, not the senior cultural affairs officer's institutional address, not the cultural exchange program's primary Varath counterpart's professional title. The name in the register of the honest space, the register of the natural quality at the surface and the complete picture being built, and the single-side record made complete by the other side's presence. She looked at him. The natural quality, he said. The curiosity, the secondary archival source and the 40 minutes and the maintenance staff in the 9th month and the East Wing today before you knew I was here. Yes, she said. It is the more interesting quality, he said. You said that, she said. Yes, he said. I am saying it again. She looked at him with the full, complete quality, the natural quality at the surface and the honest space present, and the 33 years and the 18 months, and the 4 silences, and the observation said because it was true, and the complete picture being built. Kale, she said. His name in the Varath personal register, not the Accord cultural liaison's designation, not the program's primary human counterpart, not the person who had said the inadvertent observation, and who was, in the saying, the consequences subject. The name in the register of the honest space, the register of the natural quality and the complete picture and the other side. He looked at her. Outside the East Wing, the Joint Cultural Exchange Facility continued its operational function with the patient, institutional quality of a program performing what it had been built to perform. The coordination mechanisms and the formal sessions, and the 2nd phase's preparation, and all of it doing what the institutional framework required. Inside the East Wing's archival space, 2 people were in the honest space, the space that the inadvertent observation had opened, and that the 4 silences and the honest answers and the natural quality at the surface and the complete picture's requirement had built. Not the calibrated communication, not the position addressed to the position, not the managed observation adjusted for the rank and the authority and the diplomatic requirements. The honest space, where the natural quality was present, where the complete picture was the objective, where the observation said because it was true and not because the saying served a purpose had been, in the saying, the most significant thing 6 years of cultural liaison work had produced. The incomplete record made complete. Both sides, present, real, which was, as the 6 years and the 18 months and the 4 silences and the natural quality and the honest observation and the complete picture had always been building toward, exactly where the honest attention led when it was given with the genuine quality it deserved. Both sides complete together,